Okay, Chaverim, let me, as always, invite you to continue eating and drinking, but I'd like to study a little bit of Torah with you this morning. And I want to focus on two comments that are attached to the opening verse of this week's Parsha Ki Tetzei, which reads as follows: Ki Tetzei la milchama al oivecha unetano Adonai Elohecha biadecha v'shavita shivyo. That when you go out to battle against your enemies, and Adonai, your God, has given your enemy into your hand, and you take his booty, the spoils of war. And many of the commentators over the ages saw the verse not in its most literal sense, but saw it more as of a metaphor. So, for example, I want to share with you two comments by the Baal Shem Tov. The first is, and they're somewhat similar in thrust. The first says, "B'milchemet hayetzer hakatuv medaber." Le'olam yargiz adam yetzer tov al yetzer hara. That in the battle of one's wills, the battle of one's inclinations, the text says that one should always encourage and assist the good inclination in its battle against the evil inclination. The forces that push us to do good should be supported against our temptation to do the things that we ought not to do. And so he says, Ki tetzei la milchama oleivecha, kishetitgara milchama b'yetzer hara, that when you have this internal struggle, when you have this conflict between what you know you ought to do and the temptation to do what you shouldn't do, like I shouldn't have that fourth cookie, and I know I shouldn't have that fourth cookie. I shouldn't have the third one, the second one either. I probably shouldn't have the first one, but one has to feed one's soul a little bit. But there are all sorts of things that where we know we shouldn't do them, but we struggle with them a little bit. And so he says that if in fact you put forth this battle, unetano Adonai Elohecha biadecha, and God gives victory, if you will, to the good side, because when one has good intentions, one has purity of intent in one's desire to overcome one's evil inclination, then God supports us and helps us. Ulamala mizeh, and above and beyond this, that not only do we defeat it in the moment, Vishavita shivyo, but the end of the verse says that we take its booty, we take the spoils of war. So what would that be in this case? Hashvisha yetzer hara tzad be'erma mimeka kol haverot shebiadecha te'afechta lizchuyot. That what was it that the evil inclination amassed for you? Sins. Negative behaviors, bad choices that led to bad behaviors. That if you can, in fact, overcome that victory, that desire, that impetus to do bad, not only do you have the momentary benefit of, I did the right thing in this moment, but you now claim all of that negative stuff and it gets transformed into positive acts. Right? It becomes booty in the battle. And then a second comment that the Baal Shem Tov makes, which I kind of like even more, he says, Ki Tetzei lashon yachid. He notes that Ki Tetzei is actually written in the singular, not in the plural. And so, Kol yachid misrael ein lo oyev gadol miyitzro hara. That any person of the people of Israel has no greater enemy than his evil inclination. Ve'im tetzei la milchama alav unetano Adonai Elohecha biadecha. That if you go to battle against him, then God will put him into your hand. I give you victory. HaTorah maftichacha shetinatzeach Torah. And that's what the Torah is promising here. That when you do seriously commit to holding the temptations at bay, if you will, then you are promised a victory. V'lo od ella, but not only that, vishavita shivyo, and he again comes back to the idea of taking that booty that all that stuff that was amassed by the evil inclination, tagia lecha shetish'abed gam et kochot hayetzer hara la'avodat Adonai. Right? Here it's not the product of the temptations, i.e. the sins and the mistakes and all that become transformed. Here he says that when you do this battle and you emerge victorious, what you are ultimately doing is subjugating even your evil inclination, even the thing that motivates you to do bad, now becomes in the service of God. And for me, this whole idea of Yetzer HaTov and Yetzer Hara kind of, in its a very graphic way, played itself out for me in a very old episode back to the original Star Trek series. There's an episode where in the transporter malfunctions, which happened a lot, and Kirk is split into a good side and a bad side, and it's the same idea. And what you discover at the end, or what Kirk discovers at the end, is that the good side of him becomes completely ineffectual, paralyzed by indecision. And the evil side, the if you will, becomes unbridled, has no capacity for self-control whatsoever. All the lustful and malevolent behaviors that we otherwise might keep in check are gone. And at the end, he realizes that in order to be whole, he has to have elements of both, but the one has to push the other, and and the good side has to temper and control the negative. And I think that's really what the Baal Shem Tov is asserting. It's not so much that our temptations are going to be beaten beyond any ability to affect us. It's that we can use them and direct them and change them into a force that helps us do good. So if we see something that is wrong, if we see wrong in the world around us, the passion that drives us is not just this awareness of, oh, that's terrible, it's awful, it's wrong. It's the good side of us would see the problem. It's the drive to fix it that may come by the control of our negative impulse. The one that says, go do. And the direction in which the go do happens is the filter that the Yetzer HaTov provides, the good inclination provides. So a little fodder for thought from the Baal Shem Tov as we draw ever closer to Rosh Hashanah. Bruchim to you.